Stephen Miller is the founder of America First Legal and former senior advisor to Trump. And Kira Davis is host of the Just Listen to Yourself podcast. Kira, what do you think the impact of the mugshot is going to be?
Okay, Jesse, I gotta be totally honest with you. When I first saw the mugshot, and there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, this is badass. And I'm like, oh, I don't think black people are glorifying this. And then I thought, well, it is kind of badass. So I called a couple of black men I knew and asked them, and they basically said the same thing. And then I called my husband and I was like, what do you think about it? He was like, I think he looks defiant. And I realized, yeah, a lot of people are responding really well to this. And absolutely a lot of black men are like, you know, this feels countercultural. You know, we're always fighting the system, and here is the system coming for another person. I love that clip of the Martha Stewart comparison. So I know this is serious. This is a very serious thing that's happening to the former president. But I do think that it's resonating among some people, particularly black men. I'll tell you where it's not resonating: with black women. I went onto social media today and I just took the temperature of what was going on between men and women, and by far the women were disgusted by Trump and cheering the mugshot, and the men were also cheering the mugshot, but they were saying, well, we're going to vote for him. So along those lines, they are split by gender in the black community as far as I can tell, and we're in for an interesting ride.
Yeah, we sure are. That is interesting analysis. Stephen Miller, what was the first thing that you felt, because this is all about emotion, when you first laid your eyes on it?
Yes. Well, you're right. It is all about emotion. I'm going to get a little poetical with you tonight, if I may. They say that the eyes are the window into the human soul. That blazing set of eyes that we saw in that photograph revealed a soul that is literally burning with a righteous flame on behalf of 300 million Americans. That is one of the most powerful images that I have ever seen. Yes, through the injustice, through the autocracy, through the crushing heel of the government, the oppression of the Democratic Party, one man and his two eyes looked straight into the hearts of the American people and said, I will not give up, I will not back down, I will not surrender, I will see this through no matter how it ends, they will not break me. That's what that photograph said. And those of us who have believed and who have hoped that there would be a real man, a true man someday who would vindicate our rights, we don't know how this battle ends, but we know that we will be riding in this battle, in this struggle to save democracy with a real man, Jesse.
The poet, Stephen Miller. I did not see that coming on a Friday night, but that was very, very powerful. So, Kira, explain to me why black women see this one way and black men see it the other.
Ooh, that's a rough question. I think that would take a lot more time to analyze than we have.
Do it in 30 seconds.
Look, I think a lot of it boils down to a lot of who thinks should be taking care of them. I think a lot of black women feel like the government should be taking care of them, and a lot of black men. This is why it's not that shocking when people like Ice Cube come out for guys like Trump. These guys have scraped their way out of the hood, out of poverty. They're capitalists, and that's what they appreciate. If anything comes from this, Jesse, I think this is what we need to come to when we look at the effect it's having in pop culture, particularly among black men. That where Republicans need to be going is the inner city to campaign, because people are interested in this message, and this mugshot and the whole Trump saga is speaking to them. So Republicans would be fools not to take advantage of this time and to go in and start messaging in those communities.
Real quick, Stephen, I'll give you maybe 20 seconds.
Well, on a lighter note, let me make this point. Have you ever tried to take a driver's license photo, a passport photo, any government photo? How the hell did Trump do this? I mean, those of us who've taken any government-issued ID in their entire lives have never had a photo that was even close to good, let alone our best moment. How does the man take the literal best photo of his life in a freaking booking shot in a Georgia Fulton County jail? This could be his single most impressive feat of all, Jesse.
Miller, I've already booked the Fulton County jail photographer to do my Christmas card. That's how good he is.
Yes, exactly.
All right, guys, have a good weekend and stay out of trouble, especially you, Miller.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.